Hello and welcome to the new style Edexcel GCSEs. These are the ones that go from grades 9 through to grade 1. This is paper 1MA1/3H. It's the third paper in the higher tier. It is a calculator paper, so we are allowed to use calculators, and we're picking up in question 14. Part A says, show that the equation x cubed plus 4x equals 1 has a solution between x equals 0 and x equals 1. Well, that could be rather complicated if you try to treat it as a quadratic equation, because this has got a cube in there and you can't really factorize it either. So we really are going to have to show that this, because this is a continuous function, that it's going to have a solution between 0 and 1. We're not actually trying to find the solution, we're just trying to prove that there's a solution between 0 and 1. So I'm going to use my f of x notation. I'm going to say f of x is equal to x cubed plus 4x minus 1. And then I'm going to see what happens when x equals 0. F of 0 is equal to 0 cubed plus 4 times 0, so that's all 0, minus 1. So f of 0 is equal to minus 1. And then f of 1, because we're going to show that it's between 0 and 1, is equal to 1 cubed, which is 1, plus 4 times 1, which is 4. 1 plus 4 is 5, minus 1 is 4. And I'm going to write since f of x is continuous and f of 0 is less than 1 and f of 1 is greater than 1, then f of x equals 0 must be between x equals 0 and x equals 1. Okay, I think that's a satisfactory proof. Okay, so part B, show that the equation x cubed plus 4x equals 1 can be arranged to give x equals 1 over 4 minus x cubed over 4. Well, that's fairly straightforward. If we just divide everything through by 4, we've got x cubed over 4 plus 4x over 4, and these two 4's cancel out, is equal to 1 over 4. And now we just get we've got x here, so if we just leave that on its own by moving this term over to here, the sign is going to change to negative because we're basically subtracting x cubed over 4 from both sides. So we've got x is equal to 1 over 4 minus x cubed over 4, which was to be shown. Okay, so part C says, starting with x0 equals 0, use the iteration formula xn plus 1 is equal to 1 over 4 minus xn cubed over 4 twice to find an estimate for the solution of x cubed plus 4x equals 1. Okay, so let's just do that. So we've got x0 equals 0, so 0 plus 1 is 1, so our first term is going to be x1 is equal to 1 over 4, which is a constant, so that never changes, minus x0, which we're already given, is 0, so 0 cubed is 0, but I'm going to write that anyway, 0 cubed over 4, which is equal to 1 over 4, because 0 cubed is 0, and 0 divided by anything is 0, and 0 when taken away from anything is the original number. You start with a number, you take 0 away from it, you're going to not change that number. So this is 1 over 4. So now x2, given that x1 is equal to 1 over 4, x2 is equal to, so we've still got this 1 over 4, which doesn't change, minus, this time xn is going to be 1 over 4, so this is 1 over 4, which has to be cubed, over 4, which is equal to 1 over 4 minus, now 1 over 4 cubed is the same as 1 cubed over 4 cubed, which is 1 over 64. Actually, you might not realise that, so I'm going to put 4 cubed here in my calculator and show you that 1 over 4 cubed is 1 over 64, or 4 cubed is 64. Okay, I knew that from my computers and 2 to the power n, memorising all those 2 to the power n's. Okay, and also if you know your cube numbers as well, you know that 4 cubed is 64. And then it's divided by 4. And so that's equal to 1 over 4 minus 1 over 64 times 4, and I'm not going to make the mistake of saying that that's equal to 1 over 256. I'm actually going to show you. 64 times 4 is equal to 256, so that's equal to 1 over 256. Now, to subtract fractions, what we do is make the denominators the same, and then we can subtract the numerators. So to make the denominator the same, we know that if we take 64 and times by 4, we get 256. So if I multiply top and bottom by 64, this is equal to 64 over 256 minus 1 over 256, and that's equal to 63 over 256. I just hesitated there because I thought of an easier way you could have done this. I'm just going to quickly give you the easier way. Once you'd got this here, you could have just shoved this into a calculator as it is. In fact, you could have probably shoved this into a calculator as it is right here and got your answer from a calculator. You could have took your 1 over 4, and that gives you your 0.25, and then subtract from, and then you use your brackets, open brackets, 1 over 4, close brackets, and then cube that, and then that has to be divided by 4, and that gives you 0.24039 whatever. So you could have just given your answer as 0.2460, 0.2460, and what were the other values? 9375. And you could have just given your answer as a decimal, and just to show you that they're the same, if I just do 63 over 256, and that's 0.24603975. So those are equivalent. So you didn't really need to worry about subtracting fractions. You could have just shoved the whole lot in your calculator if you're confident in using your calculator. Either way should have got you your full marks. Okay, I hope that was helpful, and I'll see you in another video.